After dinner, I say goodbye to my friends, and a servant leads them off to take them back to their respective homes as Hieronymous and I retire to bed. "You're quiet," Hieronymous observes as we enter our bedroom. "I'm sorry for the unpleasantness that Mr. Dancing caused earlier. It's okay," I say quietly. "I'm sorry that I made you sit there while I had dinner with my friends. I didn't really realize until after that you don't really care about the kinds of stuff we talk about. I hope it wasn't too boring for you." "It was enlightening, to say the least," Hieronymus says with a tight smile, "and I believe it will be a great relief for you to hear that I think Miss Danson has matured into a remarkable young woman. She was right about your friend. It's not your fault. You should listen to her." "Oh, yeah." I just shrug my shoulders. "Something they said obviously upset you," Hieronymus continues. "Mr. Danson had no right to accuse you of—" "Would you leave me if I couldn't have children?" I blurt out suddenly, and Hieronymus looks absolutely stunned. "Tori, what would prompt such an inane question?" he asks as he shakes his head. "When have I ever given you any indication that I would ever want to be with anyone but you?" "I mean, you haven't, but you heard Jacob. Noble families need an heir. The three kindred brought me back, but I technically did die, and now I'm dependent on otherworld magic to survive." "What if that means I can't have kids? What if we can only have the one? What if—" Hieronymus cuts me off with a light chuckle. "You are torturing yourself with needless hypotheticals. That is not something we need to concern ourselves with for a few years yet." "Yeah, but Tori, what may be customary in magical communities does not apply to us. You yourself said that our relationship was unconventional, and I have absolutely no desire to engage in a relationship with anyone but you. You are my wife, Tori. I chose you. I mean, Potsdam chose me," I remind him with a light shrug. "I mean, it's true that we chose to keep our relationship going, but what if years from now you hit it off with someone else you meet and suddenly you just wish I wasn't in the picture anymore and you decide to leave me?" Hieronymus narrows his eyes. "The thought does not concern me, Tori, because it has never occurred to me. Has it occurred to you?" "No," I insist as I shake my head. "No, I guess I just can't help but think about Donald and Ellen. I don't know how things were between them, but he might have thought things were okay, and Ellen went off and fell in love with someone else, and then we know how that turned out." "We have never really discussed this, but it's why monogamy isn't strictly practiced in noble families," Hieronymus tells me. He looks like he's about to say more, but I can't help but interrupt him. "But when I was just a freshman, you made me vow loyalty to you when we got married," I remind him. "It's what led to that whole mess with Tommy trying to kiss me, to break my vows to you. If you never intended to take our marriage seriously, why would you have ever cared about me being loyal to you?" "Because," Hieronymus replies, and I can see him blushing. "I had several reasons. For one, I did not know if you were involved with anyone at the time, but a part of me wanted to punish you for something that we both now know wasn't your fault to begin with. If you weren't involved with anyone, I also did not want you engaging in a new relationship and possibly letting slip about our arrangement." I pause for a moment. "And because you secretly had feelings for me and you didn't want me to become involved with anyone else?" I ask, and Hieronymus blushes harder. "I don't need to confirm what you already suspect," Hieronymus replies stiffly. "Regardless, in many arranged marriages, monogamy is not strictly practiced. However, I think both of us are too jealous to even entertain the notion of becoming involved with anyone else." "Oh?" I ask him. "Since when do you get jealous?" "All the time," Hieronymus admits immediately. "Even if you have no romantic interest in your friends, they mean a great deal to you. You want to help other people, Tori. You're generous and compassionate, and sometimes I wish that your efforts were directed solely towards me. It is an unrealistic wish, an unhealthy one, but... His voice trails off as he shakes his head. But I love you so much, Tori. More than anything, I just want you to be happy. I just want you to have the life that you've always wanted. I'm glad you're here with me then, I say as I smile back at him. Maybe this is selfish, or maybe I'm still that immature, but I know Minnie has grandiose plans for how she wants to change the world, but I still don't know what I want to do with my life. Whenever I picture my future, you're in it. That's it. That's all I want. I feel like I need to think of something bigger, something more selfless and generous, because why would the three kindred just bring me back to be your wife? But that's all I want. When I think about me and what makes me happy, it's just spending time with you. Hieronymous nods to himself, but his smile is sad. While I do appreciate hearing you say that, Tori, I can't become your everything, and you can't be mine. I made that mistake with Violet, and I was ready to give up everything after she was gone. I love you, Tori, and I always will, but we both need to take a step back and find our purpose outside this relationship, too. I can't help but frown at him. I thought that's what we were doing. I'm off at school, and you're off performing your duties as a Viscount. We aren't together all the time. No, but I'm thinking about you all the time, Hieronymous replies. I don't want to put this on your shoulders, Tori, I really don't, but I'm finally stopping to consider that you weren't the only one irreparably harmed by Damien's misdeeds. I spent months constantly watching over your shoulder, checking in on you, making sure you're okay, and sometimes I really do feel that the world is going to fall apart if I'm not there to look out for you. What makes it worse is that I know that you feel the same towards me. I pause for a moment as I stop to think about it. Sure, I was lonely last year when Hieronymous was in class, but I had the drama with Musette to keep my mind busy, and besides that, I was reading and studying. But it was starting to seem like Hieronymous was stuck on me like gum to Velcro, and I'm quiet as I take it in. My world doesn't stop turning when you're not around, I admit quietly. Even when I was frustrated with your letter, I still went to class. I still visited Ermengarde and Jessie. I still made sure Becky was being fed, and I still play the role of Miss Minchin's wind-up toy for her formal tea-time gatherings. It's lonelier without you there, but I'm still able to get by okay. And I'm starting to get worried that you can't. I'm glad you're telling me this, that we can talk about it, but I'm worried about you. Hieronymous sighs as he runs a hand through his hair. I shouldn't have said anything. This is my burden to deal with, not yours. No, it's our burden, I say, stepping forward to take his hands in mine. Damien might have killed me, but if I had stayed dead, you were the one who was going to have to deal with that. You lost Violet, and then just as our relationship was getting started, you almost lost me. And then I was so stupid dealing with Musette, and you almost lost me again. You never had a family to get close to or to support you. You don't have any friends besides me. You don't have anyone you can trust besides me, and I hate that. I really do, but I understand it. Yes, you are older than I am, and you are more educated than I am, and you are wiser than I am, but that doesn't mean that you still didn't undergo a serious, horrible trauma that you've never really had a chance to deal with. Hieronymous just shakes his head and sighs, stepping away from me. What happened last year is just as much my fault as it is yours, Tori. It was easier to blame you because you were younger, because of what you had experienced, and I told myself that you needed me because if you didn't have me, who would you have? What would you do? But I think I'm starting to realize now, Tori, that the truth is that you don't need me at all. It's I who needs you. I completely need you, I say, moving to stand in front of him again. You are the only one who understands what happened with Damien. You're the only one who will help me realize when I'm being an idiot or acting nonsensically. You're the only one who I can trust with my really deep inner thoughts, and you are the only one who knows about my dependence on otherworld magic after what Damien did to me. I don't trust anyone else with that information. Just you. And, okay, So you developed a bit of an attachment to me. That's okay. We'll get through it. We'll figure it out. This entire relationship has been about helping me deal with my trauma, and we've never addressed yours. You still have never, not once, told me about what really happened with Violet, and if you really don't want to, I don't want to push you, but I need you to know that everything you're feeling is real and it's valid. You're latching on to me because you're concerned that something might happen to me, and you're right to. Something has happened to me multiple times because you aren't there, but you know you can't look after me all the time, and you don't try to. You don't insist I send you letters every day. You don't write to me every day. You haven't been looking over my shoulder these past few months, and I'm still okay, right? Hieronymous just looks at me for a moment. You're better than okay, Tori. Compared to last year, you seem to be thriving. You look so much healthier. You seem so much happier. You seem so much more mature and level-headed, even amongst your friends. Not because you're not there, I say quickly, getting to the heart of what I think he's most afraid of. I'm growing up. That's going to happen with or without you there, but I am holding it together and trying to do my best for you. I am being a mature, capable adult because that's what you need me to be. Neither of us knows where the future will lead us, but we both know that we want to be with each other, and we're just carrying out our responsibilities in the meantime. And that's okay, Hieronymous. We don't need to figure it out today. We don't even need to figure it out tomorrow. We'll just take things one day at a time and see what happens, okay? Hieronymous can't help but smile. I've always been astounded by your maturity, Tori, and now is no exception. I suppose you're right. I have always assumed that I knew best because I was older, because I had more experience, but I think now our positions are reversed. I am the teenager who wishes to give in to emotional whims, and you are the adult, making pragmatic, responsible decisions because they need to be made. You're doing that too, I remind him. You don't want to be a Viscount, but you're still going out there and doing it. He shakes his head as he runs his hand through his hair. I don't want to do it, Tori. It's miserable work, it really is. I never thought I would look back on the days I spent at Iris Academy dealing with troublesome students so fondly. When I think about having to spend the rest of my life doing this, His voice trails off as he shakes his head again. You're being too hard on yourself, I tell him gently. Honestly, I think you almost want there to be problems in our relationship because those would be easy to fix. The truth is that you want to spend time with me because I am literally the only thing that makes you happy. Your job absolutely sucks, and spending time with me makes you feel better. That's not wrong. But if something happens to you, what do I have left? Hieronymous asks. If something happens to you, then I have nothing. I pause as I consider this for a moment. He was right. If something happened to Hieronymous, I had my friends. I now had experience living in multiple countries. I would never be the same if anything happened to him, just as he wasn't the same as before he met Violet, but I could still try to make my life mean something. I could work with Minnie to help secure greater protections for wild seeds. But if something happened to him, what would he do? Do you still have to be a Viscount? I ask him quietly. I know you've accepted the role, but you're smart. You have plenty of teaching experience, and if you wanted, maybe you could. It's a little late now, Tori, he says in the same hushed tone. I'm bound to this role now, just as Bej is bound to his lands. Maybe if I had not spent so long fighting it, this would not have been so hard to take. I spent decades avoiding my father, trying to avoid a birthright that I deemed unfair. If I had accepted it then, it might not be as difficult for me now. I pause for a moment as my eyes go wide. Hieronymous, wait a minute. You're not alone. You don't just have me. You have your father too. Hieronymous just scoffs as he rolls his eyes. Believe me, Tori, there's not enough time in the world that could come close to mending even a fraction of the disdain we hold for one another. But that's not true, I tell him, almost surprising myself with the urgency in my voice. Your father wants to repair his relationship with you, with both of us. Maybe I'm ridiculously gullible, but I think he's being sincere. I know part of the reason you're upset is because he didn't save Violet when he could have, but it's been over a decade. She isn't here anymore. He still is. Hieronymous just shakes his head. Tori, there are many things that you don't know. And I don't have to know them. But you know them, and he knows them. And right now they're hurting both of you. Sure, you gained some moral high ground for hating your father for things that he did to hurt you in the past, but it's not helping you now, is it? I don't know, because you obviously haven't told me, but I'm guessing part of the reason you're struggling with your position so much now is because you won't ask your father for help. Am I right? Hieronymous shows the toe of his boot into the floor, avoiding my eyes, looking every bit the part of the petulant teenager. I think I'm going to have to take you out of Miss Minchin's, he tells me. There is such a thing as being too mature, especially at your age. That's not maturity. That's just my ridiculously acute level of perceptiveness, I reply with a smug smile, because I know you that well, just like you know me that well. We are there for each other, and I love that about us. Just talk to your dad, okay? I really think that you'll feel better if you do. Just get everything out on the table. Even if he won't apologize for some of the things he's done, maybe it can still help you get a sense of closure about them. Later, he says as he steps forward and plants his hands on my waist. Thanksgiving break isn't that long, and I want to spend every minute of it letting you know just how much I love you. Well, I think you already did that, I remind him. And I don't think I've said it yet, but thank you. Really. I know we both wanted to just lock ourselves in the bedroom for the whole holiday, but it was really nice to see my friends again, and it was a really good surprise. And it was really thoughtful, and so just thank you. I'm blushing with the way he's looking at me, and I can't help but bite my lip as I cross my arms over my chest, feeling like a teenager with a bad crush all over again. What? Nothing, he replies simply. You seem to be in the middle of one of your little speeches again, and I hate to interrupt such a mature and enlightening monologue. It wasn't a monologue, I insist. You said stuff too. You were feeling insecure about our relationship. I was just trying to reassure you that just because you hate your job doesn't mean things are any different between us. Duly noted, Hieronymous replies. I can't help but grin. You're just waiting for me to come kiss you now, aren't you? I've been waiting for that all night, he says, and I can't help but rush forward and wrap my arms around him, kissing him with all the affection and encouragement I could muster. I'd never be able to understand just how hard the past few years, or even the past decade, was for Hieronymous, and it didn't seem like something that he was really willing to talk about either. But that was okay. I just wanted to make sure that he knew that I loved him just as much as he loved me, and I spent the rest of the night doing just that.